For some reason, Zoom says that it's going out. Oh, it just changed to my AirPods, even though it's been AirPods. Oh, well.
Yeah,
Okay.
does that to me all the time.
All right, so I got to get the rest of things
All
up here.
We are live.
I'm glad I'm alive.
Live.
It's alive.
Everybody got the show notes. Looks
That's
like it.
just what I'm looking at right now.
Yep.
A guy is having a spasm.
Shocker.
Got a couple minutes. Maybe I'll sneak in before 7 my time.
Went to a concert last night.
What'd you see?
We saw it was a Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young tribute band
Oh, nice.
with two of the members that actually used to go on tour with David Crosby.
Oh, fun.
And one of them actually opened for Graham Nash at some concert, like 20 years ago or so.
So basically Crosby's Coke dealer?
Yeah.
There you go.
No, they were really good. They're called Our House.
Nice.
Last 4 concerts I've went to have been pretty much tribute bands. There was that, and the one I saw before that was Eagle Mania, obviously Eagles tribute band.
There you go.
And then Rain, which is a Beatles tribute band. And before that, it was Ringo Starr and the All Stars, which was like multiple tribute bands all rolled into one.
And Ringo was part
So when you leave this mortal plane, Guy, will there be a tribute Guy Cyril?
You damn well better hope there isn't.
Yeah.
I think having just one of me around was bad enough.
Why can't I find?
If you actually, in all seriousness, if you get the chance to see Ringo, it's well worth it. He has when I saw him, he had guys from Toto in Kansas, Men at Work, Average White Band. Edgar Winter was touring with him, and they did Frankenstein and what was the other big hit that they had? Free Ride, not Free Ride. That was
Slow Ride.
No, Slow Ride was
Foghat.
Foghat.
Yeah. Come on and take a free ride. Yeah, that was Edgar Winter.
It was Edgar Winter.
Edgar Winter Band.
Yeah, so they did both of those. They did like Pick Up the Pieces and Cut the Cake from the Average White Band. They did Africa, which really made me angry because I hate that song, but they made it sound good.
Because it's on Yacht Rock Radio.
No, it's like there was just something about that whole band that just pissed me off. I don't know why.
Yeah, they had some huge hits.
It was that period where bands were doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and same thing. The same thing with that other band that was kind of like them called Asia.
Yeah. Except those were original founders of Yes, I think, were part of that.
Of the moment
with Carl Palmer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should have stayed in Yes. I like them better.
Yeah, they were good.
Oh, Yes actually was weird. They went from being like all progressive to like top 40 AOR in just one album. The
902.125 that came out. Yeah. That was made pop.
But that seemed didn't Wakeman leave at that point? I mean, wasn't he sort of the prog guy and he stepped away?
He was still there.
Or am I making that up? I don't know.
It might have happened after 90125.
Got sick
number
of
of hits on that one. I'll give Jeff 5 minutes before we start.
Whenever he gets here, we will be merciless.
We will.
Of course, we're merciless anytime. So.
I hope he's eating that ice cream. All right.
Probably all 4 of us in the chat so far.
I'm trying to find out who's on it.
You can't see until they talk.
No, I'm talking about 90125.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Squire, Steve Howe, Alan White, Trevor Horn, and keyboardist Jeff Downs.
Yeah, he did leave at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah. I thought,
Downs had replaced John Anderson and Rick Wakeman, respectively.
Good old ChatGPT.
This is Wikipedia.
Okay.
Downs.
Yeah, he did leave at
Yeah.
that point.
yeah.
Mute. Did it come back on me? You guys have good weather?
Been great weather to stay inside all day.
It's been like mid 70s here, nice
Yeah,
and breezy.
Same here.
Yeah.
Got more in more coming out soon, Chuck.
Sorry, David.
Got some more stuff coming out soon for Make Voices.
Oh yeah. Well, daily. Yeah.
Yeah, I miss being on that show.
Well,
We
get
miss
your
you.
butt back there.
Yeah,
What
I
the
know.
heck?
It's been weird at work.
I can
I don't know
imagine.
how much I can because we're live right now.
I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I think everybody's weird at work at this point. You know, it just
Yeah.
it's this. I was just listening to one of the.
Well,
daily
actually,
news
nobody else
podcasts.
is really listening right now, are they?
Well,
I wouldn't take a chance.
yeah.
We're looking at like a 25% cut across the board.
Ooh.
And GS and FS will be the last. So it'll be contractors and PSCs.
Yeah.
That'll go first.
Give him 2 minutes and we'll get started. There he is. I knew he'd time it good.
But just so long as Jeff Gamet isn't on, my
Yeah,
God,
that guy, Jeff.
Right? That guy is nothing but trouble.
he's the worst.
And I told him.
I
last
hope
year-
I hope you have an ice cream headache.
I said I told him about your ice cream.
What flavor?
Strawberry blonde Oreo?
Oh,
I
and
don't
it's non-dairy too.
Yes. So okay, here's the deal.
That's why you want that.
There's this ice cream shop. It's called Sweet Cow. And they
Oh, yeah.
do
I've heard of that.
yeah, it's great ice
Shane.
cream. And yeah. And they have vegan flavors, so dairy free. And so I got a message on my phone saying, "Hey, the Sweet Cow ice cream truck is at the clubhouse." And I looked and I'm like, I can make this happen. And you know, with everything that's been going down lately in my world, I'm like, I deserve ice cream.
You do.
I'm gonna go get ice cream. And I did, and it's awesome. And I do not regret being late for it.
Yeah,
I
I'd be vegan except for all the meat, cheese, and eggs that I eat.
You know, I'd be vegan too, except same thing. It just turns out I can't. I have to avoid the cow stuff.
I just figured out what's going to be on Jeff's tombstone. Here's the deal. Because every time he starts on stuff,
Good one.
The underpants.
Marty, I love you.
Yeah,
I love you too,
he is
Jeff.
good. He is a good.
So I just discovered something. Apparently, and I'm trying to figure out where the setting is, or David, maybe you have it. I can't send an individual message to anybody except David.
Oh,
But
yeah,
on the
that's a
Mac-
setting in Zoom.
Is it
I
okay?
didn't-
I
I
was going
didn't
to say
set
in the
it that
Mac
way.
in the Mac Voices chat. I know private messages are going back and forth
You know
all the
what?
time.
I have it set as a group chat. I got to turn that off when I create.
Oh, I don't care, David. It's just I didn't know that was a setting. So I just learned
Yeah,
something new.
because I have it
Trying
set
to
to
hide something, Chuck? Huh?
meeting group chat. I gotta turn that off. I hate that actually.
No, teachers turn it off all the time because they don't want students talking trash while they're trying to teach online.
Then there's
It's
that.
Not that I would ever be talking trash about David on his
No.
own show.
Yeah.
I save that for
Maybe
my
Jeff.
show.
Or Jeff.
Poor guy.
I mean, everyone
All right.
talks trash about me on all the shows.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, the difference is you're right there though when we do it.
Right. Not
Alright.
gonna lie, this is good ice cream.
We'll enjoy it.
Oh, I am.
Oh,
Let's get
speaking of-
started.
Speaking of AI,
Ooh.
No, and I.
the I have 2 episodes of Tales from the AI verse out.
Oh,
Well, put them in the show
Great.
notes. We'll link them. Put your links in the show notes. We'll talk about it. All right, let's go. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to episode 356 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, Vision Pro, Mac, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and I have 2 great guests this week. Guy Searle is back. How you doing, Guy?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me on, Dave.
Thanks for being here. Also, thanks for being here is Mr. Chuck Joyner. How you doing, Chuck?
I'm great, David. I'm here with this crew. How can I be anything but great?
Yeah, you can't beat this crew. Marty Gensius has also joined us. How you doing, Marty?
Yeah, it was a day full of meetings, and here's a tip. It's a motivational work tip. Don't schedule your annual retirement meeting after you've done a 3-hour faculty retreat because you are ready to retire at that point.
I bet. I bet. But last but certainly not least, he's back. Jeff Gamet. How you doing, Jeff? Welcome back to the show. How you doing?
I have missed you so much, and
We
I'm
have to.
sorry that my schedule has been so chaotic that I've had to
It's
miss
okay.
some time. But I'm glad that I'm here, and
Yes.
and I'm glad that that you're even tolerant of me saying, "Hey, I might be a minute late because the ice cream truck showed up."
Yeah. Was it playing the song and everything? The you know.
No, but I sang all the way
Okay.
from my place down
Now-
to the ice cream truck.
Did you go there, Jeff, for the ice cream or the creepy guy that sells it?
Why not both?
Yeah.
In
Why
my
not?
neighborhood, the ice cream guy plays Helter Skelter.
I want to come have ice cream with you.
Yeah, really.
Jeez. All right. So the normal things we talk about this week will be, as well as many weeks here, is In Touch with Vision Pro, In Touch with Mac, and we are going to hit up on some beta as we always do. But let's go ahead and start off with Vision Pro. Apple did release the 3rd beta of Vision OS, and there really wasn't much to talk about as far as I was concerned. I went ahead and updated it. Did you see anything, Marty, that's relevant to talk about?
No, it's like, what they say at accidents and other embarrassing situations. Nothing to see here. Just keep moving
Yeah.
by.
Keep moving, just like Star Wars. You don't want these. You don't care about these droids.
Yeah.
So, yep, not much to really talk about. With continuing on in Vision Pro here, yeah, we did put the release notes in there as well, so you can see that there wasn't much. This was like a Reddit post I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit. The Apple Vision Pro fatal design flaw. This was written up here in the past couple days. My Vision Pro has begun to reboot unexpectedly. I haven't seen that. It has happened when putting on a AirPod Max, adjusting how I carry the battery, and simply just turning my head. The Vision Pro can no longer be worn reliably without reboots. And it goes on to say that how he's using it and all that. And I've never seen this before. Have you seen this, Marty?
I haven't seen it, but for him to be putting AirPods Max on top of the
how you
Vision
do
Pro,
that?
well, I think
I
it
guess you
gets
could
to
position it. Yeah.
I think it gets to the point that I think the article or the discussion goes on and talks about. That's point where the connector goes on for power. And probably that's where the fraying is, and also the tension or torque on the power is that's
Yeah.
causing it to drop out.
I don't think that the Vision Pro is designed to be wearing headphones, period. I don't think I wouldn't, at least I wouldn't do it. So
I don't have an AVP, but do you mind if I jump in for a second?
please do.
I'm calling bovine fecal matter on this.
Okay, go ahead.
This is not the fatal design flaw in this product. You know what? If you're going to sit there and try and say that what you're doing in this situation is a fatal design flaw, get over yourself. Apple didn't design the product just for you. This is not a fatal design flaw. Learn how to use the product correctly, and get off my lawn. I'm cranky about this one.
I use one battery pack all the time, and I have a second one for backup. Yeah, and frankly, the battery pack, the cables are getting bendy, but to me, that's kind of normal wear and tear. It's not a design flaw. I haven't had to replace it. Still works functionally. If something goes wrong with it, I'll take it into an Apple store and see what they do. They'll probably poke out the old cord, put a new one back in.
Yeah,
there you go.
For sure. And last story of the week here for Vision Pro is Apple is working on a Vision OS support for Go.Dot game engine. Apple engineers have offered to contribute Vision Pro support to the Go.Dot engine, which is a free open source game engine that's available by game creators as an alternative to the Unity and Unreal. Go.Dot is a cross-platform, and it also supports PCs, mobile devices, the web, and more at the current time. But with Apple's contributions, games made with Go.Dot could run natively on a Vision Pro. This was on a GitHub. On GitHub, there's a member of the Vision OS engineering team says that Apple wants to help bring Vision Pro integration to Go.Dot with the aim of developing a Vision OS VR plugin. Apple engineers have already started contributing to this project and have pledged to continue development based on community feedback. This is good news, I think. Just seeing this especially something third party like this, Marty, don't you think?
Well, yeah, but I think it's great. I think Apple needs to reach out to developers, offer support. They're doing exactly what they should be doing. And Mac Rumors, of course, in this article is doing what they always do. They take a piece of gold and they cover it with a turd, because the end of the article, the end of the article says Vision Pro has so far seen lackluster sales and waning interest in Apple users. But, just leave it alone. It doesn't need to be said, and it doesn't add anything to the context of what they're talking about in this article.
Yeah, but it's got to be in every single story, for whatever reason. And yeah, that's a meme that's gotten really tiring.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too, though, to be fair about it to everybody, it seems like I see that kind of thing in almost every story.
Yeah.
If there's a story, if the story has a positive focus, there always has to be a downer somewhere. And if the story itself is a downer, there always has to be like a silver lining that they try to find. And I don't get it. And Jeff, you've worked in that industry. I mean, is that an unwritten rule somewhere, or is that what they think is balanced?
Okay, here's the deal. I don't think this is about being balanced. I think this is about throwing in your own or your publication's editorial perspective. And in many cases, I suspect this is being done to trigger engagement. So like when I look at this line, the Vision Pro so far has seen lackluster sales and waning interest from Apple users, both due to the high cost and the lack of content. If one of my writers, back when I was a managing editor, gave me that, I would come back to them and say, this is not the focus of this article. So What I want to know is, why is this there? And what evidence do you have to back this up? And if you have evidence to back this up, you just buried the lead. That's the story. So get this sorted out, and let's figure out, does that need to stay in? And if so, it needs evidence, or should this be a separate article? Basically, what I'm doing is giving them the opportunity to decide if they're throwing something in that's actually relevant to the story, or if they're tossing something in because they're just throwing their own editorial take.
Well, didn't we see this as well with the iPad when that first came out?
And the Apple Watch and the iPhone.
An Apple Watch and iPhone. Yep.
Yeah, I remember going to CES after Apple Watch was taking off, and talking to developers. Why aren't you writing for Apple Watch? And they told me, because no one's buying it. And I'm like, holy crap! Seriously, you need to do some market research, because you're leaving an entire product category off the table simply because you think no one's using it.
Yeah. Oh, it's
I'm cranky tonight, aren't I?
Yeah.
Oh,
Even with
rightfully
ice
so.
cream.
Even
Rightfully
with,
so.
once the ice cream kicks in, I'm just going to be all happy
Sugar.
about everything.
And in our private chat, you did say it's pronounced Godot, right?
Well, I don't know how they're pronouncing it for this, but I was always interpreting it as the Godot project,
Godot.
like waiting for Godot.
Godot.
And I thought that it was being done in a sense like, here you go. This is a thing that's never going to materialize, like kind of tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
And I have probably way overthought the whole thing, but maybe it's supposed to be Godot. I have no idea.
I think of the actress Gal Gadot. She says it that way. So
Yeah.
I think
I want
Jeff,
her to stay.
yeah,
that is such a literary reach, Jeff. I think, yeah, for most of us gamers.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. This is the cross I bear, Marty.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on. So we'll move to beta for this week. iOS 18.5 beta 3 has arrived, but there really aren't a lot of major features. I haven't done a SETI on my 16E. They've talked contacts, photos, and emails. Apple Care Info is more elaborate. So there really wasn't much. Have you noticed anything, Marty, on the beta?
It's forcing me to love my 16E even more. Whatever, I don't know if that's built in the operating system, but no, I'm enjoying it. I'm seeing things come up that are summaries and part of what the operating system now, it seems like it's just flowing a lot better for those reasons, and notifications and such. I don't think there's anything particularly unique about this new beta.
Okay. Yep. I would probably would agree with that too. Yeah. You're running it too, right, okay?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm not on the developer beta.
Public.
Beta. I'm I've been on just the plain old public beta, and I've noticed for me that mail is running better, as well as I'm not having some of the problems that I had originally with CarPlay. They've mostly worked themselves out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, seems to be okay for me.
Yeah.
With that, so we go ahead and move on for this week, and we are now we're talking about beta. There was also release of tvOS and watchOS 11.5 and tvOS 18.5. Again, nothing of notability. Watch put in some context and timing, which was interesting, but haven't noticed much on Watch OS or tvOS for that matter. So it's nothing really to talk about. But the question is, when is iOS 18.5 going to be released? I'd like to know. And it's, if you look at Apple's track record, so 17.5 got released on May 13th. So, and 16.5 was May 18th. So it's been consistent in the last 3 upgrades that it was going to be out in May. So it looks as the way they're pacing these updates that we may probably fit into that category. What do you guys think?
Well, do you think there'll be one before
Maybe one more.
WWDC, or do you think that they'll have it wait until after the conference is over?
Yeah, there'll be more. There'll be one more because they want it to be really fine-tuned, ready to go, ready to continue on being used, because they know the public is not going. Most people in public do not upgrade to the latest beta. So, and we always tell people don't install beta on your primary device, people. So I think there'll be one more. There might be another beta 4 possibly, and then I think then they'll release that 18.5, possibly get an 18.6, or there could be some incremental bug fixes. Hard to say, but it's all speculation at this point. So let's go ahead and move on to Mac this week. Apple did release 15.5 beta 3 of Sequoia. And there really isn't much notable that we've had been talking on this, because they seem to think Mac OS is winding down and with the beta, and we'll be seeing Mac OS 16 more likely. That was announced in June. So I don't know if you Marty or Guy, I don't know if you're running it on your Mac, but Marty, have you seen anything with Mac?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. I was just this week I switched from one primary computer to the other, and I've been catching up on the other. So I'm running my Studio 2, trying to do most of the production off of that, where I was running my Mac Mini M4. And so I on the Studio, I have not added on the developer beta, but I'm running public beta on that. So I just haven't seen anything remarkable about it.
Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts from anybody else before we move on? All right. So let's go on and move on to a celebration. Today, on this date, as we're recording this, April 24th, 2015, the Apple Watch came out. Happy birthday, Apple Watch. 10 years. Woo. Woo.
There's a 10.
It's been on what's that?
I say, should we sing?
I don't know about that.
Happy birthday to Guy's watch.
I might get a strike.
Watch. That's having a birthday.
So,
if you wear 2, it's like wearing a swatch.
Oh my gosh, you're funny. So it was as we got an article here from Apple Insider that years after the rumor started, month after it was announced, and week after pre-orders began, the Apple Watch became a reality for millions of users starting on April 24th, 2015, including me. I had the whatever, if you want to call it, the first gen or Series 0, whichever we called it. He says, unless you were seriously into Rolex, here's a decent chance that you stopped wearing a watch once your iPhone became part of your life. And I would agree with that. So it took a number of years to develop, and patents and all that stuff that happened. But then it was going on since at least 2005. So it took a full, probably close to 10 years before they had that. And then it also when it was announced, there's a link here in the show notes for the YouTube video of Tim Cook announcing it on the September event in 2014. The iPhone 6 Plus was out when that time. And then they unveiled Apple Pay that day too, and then they shoved the U2 into iTunes libraries. Who remembers that? Everybody up in arms of sending that U2 album to everybody's feet. They got it for free. I like it.
People need to get over themselves. Oh my God. They gave us a fracking free album, and people trying to turn it into the next Watergate. And
I dug it.
I remember. No, it was good.
I was totally fine with getting a free album.
Even if I didn't listen to it.
It's not the point. You got an album for free.
Exactly.
And I just Okay, it's in there. So what? I don't have. Nobody
Yeah.
came to my house, put a gun in my head, and said, "Listen to this."
No,
And it's
you know.
not like you couldn't delete it.
Yeah.
you want to get rid
But
of it, get rid of
Chuck,
it.
they're violating my privacy by giving me something for free. Blah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Are those the same kind of people that like to pay for updates every time a new version of the Mac OS comes out?
yeah, I remember that. Yes.
Oh,
And I did pay for it. I'm sure all of us did during that time.
Oh yeah.
of course.
So-
Of course you had to.
Oh yeah, we had to. So, but
How
just
else
kind
were
of
they
going
going to
through.
get dashboard widgets?
I miss those.
That's good. So just going through I'm going to share a chart in the show notes. I've got our developer. We talked about it. I talked about it a number of weeks ago in Etsy. I'll have a link to his, so you can buy this chart. It's going to, so we started off with the first gen, which was basically the iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch Series 0. Then you had the first gen that came out, and then you had Series 2. I'm trying to think of what I owned. I think I kept the 0, skipped the first gen, and then went to Series 2, and I believe Series 3 I went with that, and then Series 4 I had that, and Series 6 I skipped. No, I didn't go to 6. I had 5, and then I skipped 6, and then went to 7, and then I skipped 8 and went to 9, and then we have 10. So what do you guys remember with Apple Watch, or what stands out to you over these 10 years? I'm going to start with you, Chuck.
Oh wow, Dave. It was one of those things for me that it seemed so grossly obvious that from the first day that it would be useful, if for no other reason than just to get notifications on my arm that I didn't have to, reach down, pull my iPhone out, or pull it out of a breast pocket, or pull it out of my pants pocket, but be able to see what was right there. And so that just sold it for me right there. And that was my baseline. And from there, it just kept getting more and more valuable, because then you could, not only did you get notifications, then you could reply to texts as opposed to, again, having to pull your phone out. And now I think one of my favorite features, and I know there are people that are going to disagree with this because they really want to walk around their house and say, "Hey, S lady," and then they gripe about how it doesn't respond, when all I have to do is reach down, pull up my watch, push the button, and say whatever, set a timer for 10 minutes.
Like an
And
animal.
And it works like an animal, but it works. It's not a source of frustration. It's like, okay, that's what I need to do right now until it becomes bulletproof another way. So, and between those two, there've just been a lot of really nice incremental improvements that I use now without even thinking about it. And in fact, the other day, I don't quite know how it happened, but I actually forgot my watch, and I knew about it in about 15 minutes. I forgot to put my watch on because it was now just such a part of my life, and I use it so much. And even though I'm sitting in front of a screen with a perfectly good clock up in the corner, that just tells me all the other things that my Apple Watch does for me. So,
yeah. How about you, Jeff? What's your thinking of Apple Watch for over all these years?
When the original came out, the Series 0, I totally get why people were very skeptical, especially since they had the stupid
gold one.
expensive gold
Yeah.
model that we all knew was going to be worthless in a couple years. Turns out that was true. I bought the Series 0 because I needed to review it for Mac Observer, and I had stopped wearing a watch a long time ago because I just don't like wearing watches. So I expected to get the watch, do the review, and in that 14-day window, return it. And here I am still wearing an Apple Watch today. And I haven't upgraded from the Series 8 because when I was ready to upgrade, the whole lawsuit had already gone into effect, limiting the features you can have in the US. So I'm like, no point in updating my Apple Watch to lose a feature. But I still wear it, and for me, it's a tool much like Chuck's tool, where it's a second screen for my iPhone. And it gives me access to information that matters to me right now because I've dialed in all of my settings for notifications. And it ended up ultimately replacing my Fitbit. And had Fitbit not been so obstinate about keeping all of their technology siloed, they didn't want to integrate with HealthKit. Had they gone ahead and done that, there's a very high likelihood I would not have continued to use an Apple Watch, and I would have stuck with Fitbit. But the whole HealthKit support is like, I have an integrated thing here, and now it's my fitness tracker too. So it's become a very useful tool for me. I still don't like wearing watches, but I'm used to wearing a watch every day.
Absolutely. What about you, Marty? What about your first thoughts about Apple Watch?
That was about the time I started my technology slush fund, which is basically get a reimbursement check from a travel expenses. I should have sent, and I did send it directly to Apple. And so I got the first gen. And I remember what I remember of it, it came in like a hat box sized box. It was a huge box from what they are nowadays. And true story on this is, as I upgraded my Apple Watches, my now ex-son-in-law didn't have one. And I said, well, go ahead, you can take this first gen one. And I thought, I'll never see it again. Well, he gave it back to me about 2 or 3 years after that, and I still have it. I was looking for it earlier in one of the drawers, desk drawers down here. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. And about you, Guy, when did you jump in late on the Apple?
Yeah,
Watch
I kind of did. I didn't get
correctly
one until it was like the 3rd or 4th generation.
Yeah.
And then I cracked the screen on it. And when I found out how much it was going to cost to replace it, it was like, oh, I'll just get a 5th gen instead. Yeah. And I went from the 5th gen to the 7th gen. And once I had both of them, I started using the 5th gen at night for like a sleep monitor. And then, of course, the 7th gen would be on the charger. And then I'd put that on in the morning before I went to work. But sometimes I actually would forget to swap watches. And it didn't matter because, by the time I got home on the second day, I still had, 20 to 30% charge on the first one. And I found a great deal on the 10th gen. So I went ahead and got one of those, but I still have my 7th gen, which is now my sleep monitor. I would love it if Apple would change the shape of this thing to a round shape. And it's just aesthetics, but I think that's just a better look. And considering that most of the watch faces incorporate, the round symbols or, a round UI, I just don't understand why they haven't gone ahead and done it yet, unless they, don't want to be accused of, copying anything that's going on over in the Android world.
Yeah. Oh, those Android watches are.
Oh, they're great. A dime a dozen, and
they're horrible.
I have no idea. Well, I honestly have no idea what they're like because I've never seen one in the wild, and I've never played with one. I just don't see the point of it.
I really like the Pixel Watch. I mean, it's lighter, to the weight size, and it is circular, and I enjoyed it when I was on the dark side for a while, using Pixel Fold and the watch.
Yep. So 10 years, and we're probably going to expect another 10 years. And also remember that Apple's really focusing on fitness with Fitness Plus and all the fitness things that happens with it. We didn't really touch upon that too much. So, being able to measure your doing your heart monitor rate and your pulse and a lot of other health things that you can manage very easily on the watch. So it's really progressed quite a bit. including the fact that it has saved so many lives over the years. We've been reporting this for about the 10 years, over all the show we've had here, over 9 years, I think. So it's been a literal lifesaver since 2015. Apple has pitched it as a tech forward fashion accessory, but it really became a health and saves lives with it. And there's been so many different different things that it's done, including detecting heart arrhythmias, AFib, finding coronary heart disease, blocked arteries. Apple Watch has saved lives by detecting other heart problems. It's detected embolisms and blood clots, early detection of serious illnesses, including cancer, monitoring your blood oxygen, which I really like a lot. But the AFib alone, I think it's just a pretty amazing thing that it does. It's no glitch. When you see it happen, you should go to your doctor and check to see if it happens. Think of examples like NBA star Sean Elliott was alerted to AFib. Not despite feeling no symptoms. He went to get medical attention, and it turned out he did have it. So in Apple Watch 4, the ECG feature came out. You've got that, and just on and on. I can go on with some of these things and how many times it saved lives. I got a good link in an article here and there's even a chart here that shows the most common health issues detected by an Apple Watch. So what do you guys think about this part of it? Jeff, I'm going to start with you.
I think it's actually super cool. I had an incident myself several years ago where my Apple Watch was instrumental in a serious health issue for me. No secret, I have a dairy allergy, and I had been, I don't even remember where, but somewhere, and whatever I ate, it had dairy in it. And one of the problems I have, which I totally get, people may not notice a change for me, when I get dairy in me, my cognitive skills tank.
Wow.
And so I was having breathing issues. My heart rate skyrocketed, and I didn't realize I had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And not because I don't pay attention to my body, but the cognitive skills are gone. And it was because of my Apple Watch and the data it was collecting. It showed that my heart rate went up and stayed really high for a while. And I happened to be on the phone with a friend, and they're like, hey, something's really wrong. And they asked me to look at my watch, and I'm looking at the numbers, and they said, oh, your heart rate's been at 120 for over an hour. There's a real problem.
It is.
So then I was able to get medical help, and ultimately I was fine. But I do credit my Apple Watch with being a key element in helping me when I was slowly ramping up into anaphylactic shock.
Oof. What about you, Chuck? What's your thoughts on this with the health and the Apple Watch?
I just feel like I see it as two things. I see it obviously as a way to promote improving your health and by making you more active and making you more aware of it. But I'm with Jeff. The preventative stuff and the emergency part is one. I just think everybody should wear an Apple Watch that's over the age of probably 40 and probably under that. It's and I've shared the story about my girlfriend. She fell in a parking lot, and it alerted me. And I just talked to her, and it's my watch says she took a fall. It's like, no, she didn't. I just talked to her. Well, she had, and the watch. She was with a friend, so she wasn't alone. But before any of them could do anything, the watch had alerted emergency services, alerted me, and I was able to track her as she was going from the place where she fell to the hospital. So I knew where she was at any given moment. I mean, and again, she had somebody with her, so that was not a problem. But just that kind of sophistication that now is available at a relatively inexpensive price. I realize it's not for everybody. Not everybody can afford an Apple Watch. Mm-hmm. But if you can, man, seems like a no-brainer. And I also see a physician for something, and every time I go in, he says, he looks at my wrist and says, "Okay, I don't need to pester you," because he tells all his patients to wear Apple Watches.
Nice.
So, it's almost at this stage, it's just get it.
Yep. How about you, Guy?
Well, like I said, I use mine for sleep tracking. I use mine for keeping track of the number of steps that I take for various reasons. And when it comes to general maintenance of what's going on in your body, I don't think that there's a device that's better at doing that. So Apple definitely has a hit on its hand, and it's just something that, I think Chuck is right. If you're over the age of 35 or 40, that just save a couple of shekels a week and go ahead and get one. The one thing I've found that is kind of weird though, I was at a concert last night and I kept getting these alerts on my watch. It was telling me that there was some source of loud noise near me. It was like, I kind of know where that's coming from. Thanks. It's right up there on stage.
I got the same thing and it wasn't that loud.
Yeah.
It was only like 70 or 80 decibels.
Oh, I went to a DC Defenders UFL game, and it was the same kind of thing. Something exciting would happen on the field, and all of a sudden my watch would start buzzing on my wrist, and it was just because decibels were getting too loud.
Yeah. Wrap up with Marty. What's your thoughts on this?
I had one incident with it. It is, I've always kind of told my wife, this will help me if I need it. It's got some medical reasoning for it. And we're sitting together at the vet with our dog. I'm not feeling anything really out of the ordinary, but I start getting notification that I've had elevated heart rate for a period of time. Mm-hmm. And they hadn't given us the bill yet, so I knew it wasn't that. But, from the vet's office, I called my primary care physician. He's less than a half a mile away. And I came right over to his office and he ran a strip on me and he said, "Yeah, everything looks okay." But it was a good warning device for me. You could say physicians get upset because people are wasting their times with false positives, but my physician is not like that. He's much more grateful when he can use the devices for such things. And he checks a lot of stuff on my Apple Health app when I come in. He wants to take a look at incidents and things like that. So
nice. Yeah, that's great news. So that's the big thing. Use the health features on the app. It's a huge saver of a lot of people, that's for sure. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to the news this week. First story here, Apple's iPhone 16 ad highlights a key advantage over Android smartphones. Apple today, as we record this actually, that highlights a key advantage that iPhone 16 models have over Android smartphones, the ceramic shield. Apple says that the 16, 16 Plus, and the 16 Pro, 16 Pro Max displays are protected by the latest generation of ceramic shield material, which is advertised to be 2 times tougher than glass on any other smartphone. In the new trust issues ad, a father hands the iPhone to a stranger and asks him to take a photo of his family at a carnival. Unfortunately, the stranger drops the iPhone, sending it to the moment of suspense, giving that the device might have been damaged. However, the display glass remained intact because of the ceramic shield. And they say, relax, it's an iPhone 16. But of course, your mileage may vary, which I would agree to that. They introduced this in iPhone 12 models, so it's continued to improve over the years. Guy, I'm going to start with you. What do you think?
That's a silly commercial.
Yeah. Well.
However, like I just said, it reminds me of those old Palmolive commercials. When Madge puts her hand in the sink. Oh, relax, it's Palmolive, and everybody's oh, okay, great. My hand is still in dishwater. But I have only had with or without cases, I've only had one instance where the screen cracked, going all the way back to the 3GS, because they're tough little devices.
They are.
And are Android phones that horrible? Don't know. The only ones that I've had have been either to experiment on, or they were work phones where they basically sat in my bag until I was sitting at the desk. So I don't know.
How about you, Chuck?
I think it's a fine thing to advertise, and I'm sure there's something to it. Unfortunately, there's not a way to really test it. Because in the real world, sure, you can set up a lab where you drop things on it as opposed to a competitor. But in the real world, you never know what your phone's going to drop on. It seems to always inevitably drop on a corner. But other than that, is it going to land on a rock or something? Even if it goes down flat on that rock, it's dangerous. So it's great. I don't know. I always have a screen protector on my phones. Excuse me. And I've lost 2 of them. I've cracked 2 of them. And, there's that moment of, oh, no. And then peel off the screen protector, and it's the screen protector that's cracked. Now, would my phone have cracked otherwise? I have no idea, and I don't want to find out. So, I guess my thing is tougher is always better. Apple, just keep doing it. But until, you can really convince me that since this is a glass face, that it's not going to crack, I'm going to try to give it a little extra protection.
Got it. Marty, how about you?
Yeah, experience the same as Chuck. My wife and I both have iPhones. We also have a dog that likes to eat iPhones. Not the reason why we were at the vet, but the dog, wants to get our attention or likes the smell or whatever. We have gotten her off of that. We're now feeding her Android phones. But the thing is about this ad for me is it's a universal thing that everybody does. Drop their phone. So it connects across market with that. Whereas, is there a new photo feature that this can do and the other one can't do? It's not a broad enough market, but everybody drops their phone. So I see the sense in doing this from capturing more of a universal market. And I've broken plenty of screen protectors and kind of peeled them away and gone, wow. These things, I don't know if the screen protector is good, but we know the phone is solid. So,
but as far as I've gone with the cracked screen was the old 4S with the glass back, remember? And I was bringing it to a Mac user group to do a presentation. I just got it and get out of my car and boom, it falls to the ground and it shatters. So my wife was with me and I scrambled. I've told the story a few times. I scrambled. Honey, can you go to the Apple store? I called them and they'll exchange it right away. And sure enough, she was able to go there and come back, and I had a new one ready to go for the presentation. So, but that was about the only thing I did. So, but Jeff, what are your thoughts on this?
I think Marty hit on a really important point, which is that everyone drops their phone. Excuse me. So giving the public clever ads that play on the things that they deal with all the time is really smart. I mean, you can do all the ads you want about cool effects with photos and videos and emojis, and that's not going to have that's not going to resonate with customers the way that something like this will. It's to me, this is like when they did the holiday ad where you have the teenager and they're just on their phone the whole weekend and everyone's getting all cranky about it, stupid kid. And then it turns out they made the tearjerker video. And to me, that was a very powerful ad because it really resonates with a lot of your potential customers. I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is so sappy. No, it's a brilliant ad because it's going to tug at the heartstrings of the right people. And this is going to resonate with people too, silly or not.
Yep, agree. All right, next story. Trapolo launched a colorful new pop trackers compatible with Find My. Chipolo today introduced a series of new Bluetooth-enabled item trackers that are compatible with Apple's Find My network. It's called the Pop, and these trackers come in a range of bright colors, including blue, yellow, red, and green, along with black and white. The Chipolo tracker Pop item tracks works with Apple Find My, so you can just do them just like AirTags and do the same thing with them. Unlike AirTag, the Chipolo is equipped with a CR2032 battery that lasts for about a year. Well, that actually like a year. AirTag, I should say. I'm sorry. And it's only 6.6 millimeters thick, a little thinner than the AirTag, but it has a 300-foot range. So, Chuck, have you ever talked to these guys before? I don't know if you have or not, but this seems kind of cool.
Yeah, I talked to him a couple years at CES, and they make great products. They were one of the first to come out with a credit card style tracker that you could put in your wallet easier than you can, a regular AirTag. But yeah, I mean, and the last time I don't mind telling this story, and you can go and hear them tell it on if you go to the Mac Voices archive, but they had a batch of cases come in that were not up to their standards. And so they instead of junking them and just putting them in a landfill somewhere, they went ahead and built their AirTags with them because there was no functional difference. It was strictly cosmetic. And then they turned into their marketing campaign. Nice. And it was brilliant the way they did it. So, I me, I'm an Apple guy, but I can heartily recommend Chipolo if these nice bright colors are your thing and the size fits what you're looking for.
About you, Marty, thoughts on this?
I like the bright colors.
I do.
Because when I steal somebody's bag, it makes it easy for me to know what I need to cut off the bag and leave behind. It's the only thing that comes to my mind. I'm sorry.
Okay. How about you, Jeff?
I like seeing options for devices like this. What I like about this Chipolo product is that this is going to come across sounding horrible. They look kind of cheap. And I'm saying that in a positive way, because if you see an AirTag on someone's bag, I think the psychological thing is, oh, they've got money, they have Apple products, there's probably valuable stuff in their bag. You see this on their bag, and it's just a bright colored disc. It doesn't say AirTag to me. So cool. I think that's great.
And wrap it up with Guy. How about you? What do you think?
As long as it's compatible with the Find My network, they're bound to have a hit. I think that it's a good idea. I don't want to say latching on, but they're certainly tagging along with probably the number one tracker that's out there right now. So if it's less expensive, I think they've probably got a winner.
Okay. All right, let's move on. MacBook shipments, they've surged, but customer demand has remained unclear. Apple shipped significantly more MacBooks during the first quarter of 2025, outpacing the broader PC market, according to new estimates from Counterpoint Research. With their overall PC market grew to 6.7% compared to the same period in 2024. Apple led major vendors with a 17% increase in unit shipments. However, the report attributes much of the industry's first quarter gains to accelerated shipments as manufacturers have moved to avoid a new tariffs that are coming from the president later this year. So Apple reportedly is sharing its global PC shipments from approximately 9% in the first quarter of 2024 to 10% in the first quarter of 2025. So, and Lenovo retains the largest market share overall. Apple typically reports product revenue and doesn't do unit shipments, as we know. So, Chuck, what do you think on this?
I'm one of those people. All the talk of tariffs earlier this year, before any of the real craziness started, I figured it was time to do an upgrade to my MacBook. So I got a MacBook Pro M4, Now, I did buy it on the refurbished store from Apple, so I don't know how that figures into the sales figures, but I think a lot of people were thinking that, and especially if you had been running an M1 and you felt like you had the need for it, it was an obvious time to do it because I mean, look, who wants to spend even an extra $100, let alone what ended up happening, or may not be happening? I don't know. What time is it? As far as the tariffs go. But
yeah,
I think it did push sales a bit. What I'd love to know is just how much it pushed everybody else's sales versus Apple's, because let's not overlook the fact that the M4 was out and had gotten such great reviews, and so I personally think it was because I'm judging it by myself. I didn't upgrade to the M2. I did not upgrade to the M3. The M4 seemed to be so much more powerful that it was a jump I was willing to pay for.
Yep. How about you, Marty?
I think we're going to see people trying to predict when the boats are coming in to San Francisco with the shipments on it. And, the stories you hear of boats kind of sitting out there waiting for the right day and the right time to minimize the tariff effect on it. I'm not in the market for this because I've got one before all the craziness started. But I'm concerned more also about any other new products that come out this year that Apple might release and that I might be interested in.
And Guy, what do you think?
It's part of the reason why I bought the M4 Pro Mini.
Yep.
Back in March, I think it was. And who the hell knows where the tariff numbers are going to go tomorrow? I'm sick of the whole thing, and I wish that all of the people involved would just go away.
And that good transition over to Jeff. Final thoughts.
Guy nailed it. We're talking about stupid people that need to go away. Maybe there's someone that has rockets that cater to the extremely wealthy, and we could just calculate out the delta V and throw them in a wide solar orbit, because it takes less delta V to do that than to shoot them into the sun and just get rid of them. But seriously, the tariff thing, everyone's been talking about the tariffs. Yeah, we're going to see all kinds of shipments surge. Well, not just Apple, but tons of companies try and get product in the United States before they get hit with crippling tariffs for whatever it is. So of course, MacBook shipments are surging regardless of what demand is for the product today.
Yep. So that rocket guy, is that Jeff Bezos?
Right. Yeah.
Both of them.
But we could do it. Here's what we do. Okay. So we create this scenario where they think they're now in competition, and they're going to get into their whole swinging match, if you will, and try and outperform each other, and we will get a lot of rockets built quickly that all of these problem people with too much money will line up to get on. And it doesn't matter if they're reliable or not. We just need to get them up out of the atmosphere.
So what you're saying is Katy Perry deserves a second flight.
Yes.
Yes.
If she wants a second flight, who am I to stop her?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm withholding my comments.
Yeah, I'll move on. Let's. We have a couple more stories I want to hit before we wrap up here. Max, of course, that's HBO Max, cracked down on password sharing with a new extra member feature. Following the footsteps of Netflix and Disney Plus, the streaming service Max is going to start cracking down on password sharing between multiple households. Max did this week did debut a extra member add-on feature, which is designed to allow users to pay a fee for sharing their Mac subscription with someone else who does not live in the same household. Extra member add-on is $7.99 a month, and on top of the base subscription price. Max with ads, it's $9.99 a month, while the standard plan is $16.99 a month, and the premium plan with 4X is $20.99 a month. So they're charging them quite a bit here, but the $7.99 a month is a extra add-on member is only just cheaper, but $2 by the ad supported plan. So if you want to add someone now, you're out there sharing your passwords. I'm not going to publicly admit it, but you know how that is. Yes, it's like they're following in the footsteps of Disney Plus and Netflix. What do you think, Jeff?
I think that that streaming services are addressing the wrong problem.
Yep.
And they're focusing on, well, how do we get these people to pay for more services or to have more people paying for the service? The real question they should be addressing is, how can we make our business model so that the price is palatable to our target audience? And that's not what they're doing. And so they will continue to see people do the sequential subscriptions, meaning you sign up for one network long enough to binge through the show you want, then you cancel, sign up for the next one to get through that show, and then cancel, and until they address their real issue, that's what they're going to see, and they're going to continue to see people trying to find ways around getting blocked or hammered in any way for password sharing.
Yeah. One thing I'll add, I just looked at the Help Center on their Macs. It says the extra member add-on is available to Max subscribers billed through Warner Media and not part of the Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max bundle, which I have. So I guess maybe I can't do it, or are they going to crack down? That doesn't say. But Chuck, what do you think?
I'm somewhere between Jeff and the company. I agree with Jeff completely on the pricing, and there are times that I think that they could milk more money out of this if they didn't put it within $2 of a regular subscription.
No.
That said, I can't believe that Netflix, and I can't believe we're talking about this because Netflix just let it become rampant, and I go back to almost to, oh, good Lord, what was the music sharing service? Napster.
Napster.
That all of a sudden things got so big because, it was free, or people were sharing things. And sort of the same thing here. Why Netflix didn't crack down on that a long time ago, and why it's news now that Max is doing it. I mean, if you're supposed to be paying for more, then you should be paying for more. But again, to Jeff's point, the more money you try to squeeze out of people for the wrong reasons, the more likely they are to just go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, I can almost argue both sides of it, depending on what side of the bed I got up on this morning.
How about you, Guy?
I think it's a silly thing for them to do, because there are lots of people who have multiple homes, which means they're going to be signing on to the service from different IP addresses, and all it's going to do is drive your customers away. It's like, what? Hold on a second. I'm still the primary person who's paying for this. I just want to watch it from my lake house, or I just want to, take my Apple TV when I go to the Outer Banks and use that to sign into all my services. But it's going to be on a different IP, and they won't be able to look at the stuff that they're paying for, or if they're on their phone, or if they're on their tablet and they're not at home. There's so many different ways that this could go terribly, terribly wrong. And these are the kinds of things that were resolved on the music side when Apple came out with their music store, because suddenly all the tracks became 99 cents. And it was an a la carte kind of thing. You could you could get the songs that you want off of an album without having to pay for the whole album with all of the filler. And subscription services for, streaming subscription services are eventually going to have to understand that because you guys don't share your content amongst all of these different services, that people are going to do whatever it is that they have to do if there's some show that they want to watch. And it's not necessarily going to be to pay you more money.
Right. And lastly, Marty.
I pay for YouTube. I have a HBO add-on, and with the HBO add-on comes Max. And frankly, I'm more interested in what's on Max than what's on HBO. What's been on the HBO network has been kind of dull. And so I'm more interested, again, what's in Max. Now, what does that mean when I have 5 or 6 different sign-ons or 5 different sign-ons on YouTube? And my son, who lives a mile away from me, is using it as his TV service. How does that all add up? And is he going to have to start paying for service on his own? I got to look at what I'm spending on this service and figure out, I might as well just buy the one movie I want to watch anyways, or at least rent it from Apple and keep it that way, or see it that way, than paying increasing fees and repetitive fees to use the service. So
Preach it, Marty.
One more thing before we get off of this. This is the same kind of dilemma that cable companies had when streaming services came out. They found that people didn't want their huge bundled services with hundreds of channels that nobody was watching, just to get HBO or just to get Cinemax or whatever the service was. And the streaming services, there's going to be a fallout, and a lot of them are probably going to go away or be swallowed up by other streaming services, and we'll see where it all shakes out. But it's not sustainable. Everything that they're doing now is not sustainable, and they're going to be sorry in the long run that they couldn't share the pie.
Well, Guy, you hit on something that I found to be very interesting. When we started really complaining about streaming content services, it was after the cable services became streaming content services, and all of a sudden they're treating the streaming services just like they did their cable offerings, and now we're in the same boat we were. All we did was change which cable physical line is bringing the information or the video into our homes.
Yeah.
I agree with both of you. I would happily pay more money than I'm paying now to somebody if I could just pay for what I wanted. What I wanted. I don't need your bundles. I don't need Discovery. Not the channel, the function. I know what I like to watch or have on in the background or whatever. That's what I want to pay for. But I refuse to pay. I refuse to subsidize ESPN and 25 different news channels that have 25 different political views. Mm-hmm. I just don't. And so my solution has been to say no to all of it. And maybe once in a while for a month, I might dip in, maybe, but I don't even remember the last time I did that. So I'm a customer that has just made that choice to walk from all of it. And frankly, I use more, Prime, because it comes with my subscription.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, my primary, my primary reason, sorry for the pun, is the shipping. But since I get the TV for free, why not? Because there's plenty of stuff on there.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to one of the last stories here. YouTube TV is getting an interface update with customizable multiple views. To celebrate YouTube's 20th anniversary, the YouTube team announced to yesterday as we record this, that YouTube TV is going to get interface updates in the near future, starting in the next few weeks. Apple TV members will be able to build their own multi-view, woohoo, with non-sports content. A small group of popular channels will be available to begin with. Through access will be expanding in the coming months. Later this year, the YouTube app for TVs will be redesigned, with YouTube aiming to introduce easier navigation, playback, and quality tweaks and streaming access to comments, channel info. But a sneak peek suggests that YouTube is aiming towards a more Netflix-like design with rows of shows and content for paid services. YouTube says that the YouTube app for TVs will be updated sometime in the summer. So once it's available, you'll probably see things that's part of their 20th anniversary celebrations, including 4x playback speed for YouTube Premium members, a new temporary app, YouTube logo, and birthday theme animations. I'm pretty excited about the multi-view, and not only can you do it for you can do it for sports, you can do it for your own shows too. Well, what do you think, Marty?
Well, didn't they say with build their own multi-view with select non-sports content? So I don't know if we'll see that on this. YouTube, the interface is pretty linear. For me, that's good. And with Netflix having to sort through a bunch of rows to find out what I'm looking for is a little clumsier than what I get. I've got two choices with YouTube. I can watch what's live, and I can scramble through that to see what's coming up. Or I can go to my library of stuff that I've saved or I guess DVR'd from YouTube and then pick the thing I want to watch that I couldn't watch earlier. The other thing too I like about YouTube is that, there are hundreds of channels, but I can shut any of them off and they don't appear in my stream.
Yep.
Whereas I can't do that with other internet services like Spectrum, or to my knowledge, you can't. Nope. Like Chuck's desire to get what he wants to get, you just shut off the ones you don't want with YouTube TV. So I'm a little apprehensive. I don't know if I want all that, all those decision points at every place. I just want to open it up and find the show I want and go.
Absolutely. How about you, Guy?
I'm anticipating having Star Trek 1 through 6 on various screens and just switching the volume about every 30 seconds and eventually just dissolving into a little pool of Star Trek goo. I'm not sure. Especially since it's going to be non-sports related. You won't be able to have multiple NFL games. You won't be able to have multiple, of the various leagues that are out there, because they all have services that do that you have to pay for. So they're not going to let you do that. And I doubt YouTube is going to have the licensing permissions to do that as well.
Well, you already can do, they set the multi-view when the games are on. So what if there's like 4 games on at once for the NFL? There wouldn't be. There's only 2 because the 2 major networks show it at any given time, unless you had Sunday Ticket, of course.
Right. That's what I mean. You have to pay basketball
and college football and any college sports. It's kind of fun. They have sometimes 4 games on at once, and they're showing they do create that multi-view, 4 games at once, be able to watch all those. But like you said,
set that up yourself, or is that something they set up?
They set up. It's preset to whatever. That's why I'm hoping that it'll be flexible with sports too, of what they allow. It all depends on your licensing. You're right.
Right.
So, how about you, Jeff? What do you think?
Who cares if you're not going to make it easy for me to find the content that I'm interested in?
Yep.
I appreciate wanting to give users more versatility in the way you use your service, but maybe before you start working on the bells and whistles kind of things, get the core stuff right. And I feel like not just YouTube, but streaming services in general, they're focusing on.
Sorry.
Yes, they focus on bells and whistles over getting the core stuff right. So, I just can't get excited about giving me a new multi-view on whatever service. I don't even care that it's YouTube, whatever service.
Yeah. Makes sense. And Chuck, you wrap it up.
So I confess, I'm confused. Somebody's going to have to explain it to me. Does multi-view mean, pardon me, setting up so that you can easily access Star Trek 1 through 6? Or does this mean I can have 4 programs playing at once and I bounce between them? Because if I have 4, if it's like 4 picture-in-pictures, if it's not sports, what? I mean, why are you going to have 4 episodes? Guy, are you going to have 4 different episodes of Star Trek playing at the same time?
Yes.
Now, well, yes. Okay. Thanks, Guy. I'm interpreting multi-view as 4 picture-in-pictures. And if that's wrong, then
that's how I'm interpreting it also.
Yeah. You've got Golden Girls, you've got Hallmark Channel, you've got Seinfeld. Don't you want to watch all those at the same time?
At the same time,
I'll be in my bunk.
Yeah, I mean, sports is
With the curtains drawn.
Sports is the only thing that this makes sense for.
Yes.
Chuck, here's where it makes sense for me, and it's a very, very niche thing. Major live events being covered by news, and I want to see what
they have a news bundle
networks
too.
are talking about from all their perspectives at the same time. I'm going to get different camera angles, all of that.
Right.
That's, to me, that's the place where something like this has value.
They've already had news.
I stand corrected, Jeff. I stand corrected. You're right.
Go ahead, Marty.
David, does MLB do multiple games?
Not on YouTube TV that I'm aware of, because the only times you're going to see anything off of MLB would be ESPN, if there's the ESPN game of the week, because the Friday night baseball is on Apple TV, and they really haven't had a lot of baseball on any of the channels anymore, other than if you had your local channel, and Marquee is for the Cubs, so that's its own service by itself, and that's not on YouTube TV. So it's going to be limited, that's for sure. As I was just saying that there is a news bundle that you can do. There's a weather one too that they have preset right now that I've gone and used before. The weather one is because it's got Fox Weather and it's got the Weather Channel, basically those 2 channels. And then the news, you got CNN, Fox News, BBC. There's like 3 or 4 of them in the news, and then whatever sporting event is on right now is going to be the multi-view would show those 4 whatever games they are. Like this time of year, it's no, the basketball's done, so now we're not really much of anything. But there's times when NHL hockey has been on. We would put a hockey game and a basketball game into the same view, because some people like to want to watch both sports. So I think that will be something to come in handy as long as they allow it to, like you said, you hit it right on the head there, Chuck. It's the licensing. What are they going to do with that? So, but all right, before we wrap up, let's talk about MacStock. MacStock 9 is going to be here before you know it. I'm going on the site as I look here, and it's, oh my gosh, 77 days away. It's getting there. So it's July 11th, 12th, and 13th, and it's at the Holiday Inn in Crystal Lake, Illinois, and we're going to have a blast. We had it there last year. We're having it there this year. A number of us here on this panel tonight are going to be there. Hopefully, Guy will make it. I'm hoping.
I hope so.
But everybody else is going to be planning. I'm speaking, and Jeff is speaking, Marty's speaking, and Chuck, you're just in the sidelines this year.
I'm sidelined this year. I'm the break the glass emergency presenter if somebody doesn't show up.
There you go. So it's
so what I'm hearing is I don't need to prepare because Chuck's got it.
You just quit last minute, right? just for Chuck's sake, right?
You know what? As of right now, I'm done working on my Prezzo.
Oh God, I hope Mike Potter doesn't see this episode. I'm already in trouble with him. I don't need any more trouble with him.
No, you're not in trouble. All right, so check it out. We have 3 full days of events going on, including all the workshops that are going to be intertwined into the presentations over those 3 days. Marty's got a workshop and a presentation. I do, as well as Jeff. And we got a number of other great speakers, including our own friends like Brittany Smith and Kelly Gamad is on the roster now, as well as Brett Terpstra, and he's spoke before. We got some newbies like Mike Burke and Chris Cook, Marty Gensius, and I keep teasing, but his son Will is going to be speaking with him as well, which is great. Jill McKinley will be on, always on the show. Mike Schmitz, Allison Sheridan, And Kirsten Say is going to be there as well. So there's a great lineup of Brian Flanagan, Arthur's. I don't want to forget to make Brian. So we got a great roster of people. So it's, like I said, it's July 11th, 12th, 13th. The link is in our show notes. But if you use our special code, which is InTouch50 at the checkout, you will save $50 on your 3-day pass to come to MacStock. So make sure you use that code of InTouch50 to come on and save a few dollars and come on and see us. We'd love to see you. So, and go to MacStock Expo and conference.com. Like I said, links in the show notes, as well as links to get some hotel discounts too if you're staying overnight. And I would hope if you're coming up from out of town, you want to stay with us. So come check it out. We would love to see you.
Yep,
And
come for the presentation, stay for the community.
that's right. Exactly. I couldn't have said it better. So thanks, Guy.
Even
And with
Chuck
that, let's-
Joyner will be there.
He will. Yeah, well.
I think you should give that slogan to Mike. I like that
Oh,
a
he
lot.
can have it.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, we should use that. So, all right, let's go ahead and wrap up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Blue Sky and Mastodon at InTouchWithIOS. Support the show by buying me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We'd really appreciate it. Make sure you are liking, sharing, and subscribing so you're notified when we're live streaming, which is Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/intouchwithios, where you can watch the live stream as well as watch the past live streams and listen to past shows. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discuss are flipped into that magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can subscribe to our show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and many others. But better yet, just go to intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg. You can find me on Blue Sky and Mastodon at DaveG65. We'll switch up here. Chuck Joyner, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Where can people find you?
MacVoices.com. That's where you'll find everything. Right now, we are sort of mixing up our content with our regular content and the NAB interviews. And so there's more of both coming next week. And on socials, you can find me as at Chuck Joyner, Tuesday nights. You can find us at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. With pretty much everybody here at one point or another. And so, come on over and join us. It's always a blast. Dave, as always, thanks for having me. This is always fun.
I know. Always glad to have you here. Then Guy Searle, thanks you for being here. We always enjoy having you on the show. Where can people find you?
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, if you want to hear more of my silly nonsense, I'm one of the longtime co-hosts of the My Mac podcast, along with Gaz Maz. I also host Guy's Daily Drive, where I drive and record at the same time, because how can that ever go wrong? And I am also the creator and head muckamuck of Tales of the AI-verse, something new, which uses a mix of AI and human drama to create weird stories. You can find them all on YouTube under the username VertShark. Guy's Daily Drive and Tales from the AI-verse are also both available as audio podcasts from most major services. You can find me on the socials, Twitex and Blue Sky as Mac Parrot, and the email is guy@mymac.com.
Thanks, Guy. Appreciate it. And Marty Jensius, thank you for being here. As always, where can people find you?
It's always great. For me, it kind of ends off the week, and I love that, being here and being with this group. So thanks for having me here, Dave. You can find me at Jensius, Jencius, at Bisky or Blue Sky, but it's really Bisky. And also on Mastodon.social. If you want to connect with me that way. The things that I'm doing, you can find at thepodtalk.net. And that website will direct you to different podcasts that I'm doing. And Tuesday nights with Chuck, of course, with Mac Voices is always a gas. And I just today, a little bit of brand new stuff. I finally poked the bear and got my co-host on Tech Savvy Professor. And we have decided on a time and a day where we can record.
Nice.
So we're going to start recording episodes again of the Tech Savvy Professor. We recorded our return episode today, and that should be in the can and out soon.
Awesome.
So
Good deal. And last but certainly not least, Jeff Gamet, thank you for being here. Glad you're back. Where can people find you?
I have no idea. No,
near the ice cream truck.
near the ice cream truck. Yes.
That's it.
So, okay, social media, Jay Gamet everywhere. I'm posting right now on Mastodon and PixelFed, and it shows up on Blue Sky too. And then for shows, when my life hasn't completely gone off the rails, on Chuck Joyner's Mac Voices Live, here on In Touch with iOS. Thank you to both of you for being so patient and tolerant of me. Then on the British Tech Network, The Big Show and The Mac Show. Brian Chaffin and I do The Context Machine, and Patrice Brendamore and I do Retro Rewatch.
Excellent. Thank you. And thanks you for listening. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate you being on the show. We really enjoy doing it. And we'll be back again next week. And until that time, thanks again for watching and listening, and we'll talk again soon. Well done. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm going to say goodbye to the live stream.